Hello and welcome to another episode of Dead Notes, a horror and cult film podcast. I'm Kevin. Is with me is the guy who always knows when it's Mr. Bubbles night.
Yeah. Uh, I wish. I'm Alan, and we're talking about Children of the Night, 1991.
That's right, with Karen Black and Peter
Yeah, Karen.
DeLuise.
With the DeLuise.
With DeLuise.
Yep, made by Fangoria Films, which I think is inconsequential because they were probably like, fucking make us a fucking movie. We don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't think they were super involved with this.
Throw some money at it. He did tips.
Yeah. Right. I mean, Jesus Christ. As good as this, because yes, it has many plot holes. And yes, the
Everything
writing.
we watch does now.
I could probably do a better job at writing, but the movie's fucking great regardless.
Right.
And before, I gotta mention something before we get into this, just because I'm it's been a bad few weeks. It was George Romero's birthday on Sunday,
Oh, yeah.
and David MG died, Flyboy
Right.
from Dawn of the Dead.
Yep.
I just wanted to mention that up top because
R.I.P.
even if only 5 people ever listen to this, you are sadly going to find out how sickly obsessed I am with Dawn of the Dead 1978. It's a problem.
That's your baby girl.
That is my one true love. And when we do an episode about that movie, it's going to be a problem. It might be a 2 or 3 parter because I could talk about that for days.
We'll go hard on it.
And it's just a sad reminder that George isn't with us anymore. Every time his birthday comes around. And then David MG, which, yeah, if you watch Dawn of the Dead, he's a bit of a goof, but he's one of 4. But he's one of 4, right? He's 25% of the best movie ever made, in my opinion.
Whoopee.
Whoopee.
That's what he's saying right now after he's hearing you say that.
Oh no, he's where are you headed? Straight up. Oh man. Anyway,
I bet he's got somebody wiping boogers on him up wherever he's at now too.
That didn't happen. Don't slander Dawn of the Dead. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that because it's really important to me anyway.
Happy birthday, Georgie.
Happy birthday, Georgie. Georgie Porgy. So anyway, back to Children of the Night.
Right.
Children of the Night. What's music they make?
Bladar.
Blah. You're gonna get a bunch of blahs in this. Blah. Yes.
There's so many.
Well, as far as vampire movies go, this movie is fucking awesome. If you just want to sit down and watch something that's just, it's so stupid, it's good.
Yeah, it's out there.
It's almost great. It's just, I can't believe this one flies under the radar, because I'll tell you what, this might make it into my 30 for October.
Right. I think it's definitely one to put on. I mean, it's such a different take on vampires as well, and the camera shots in it are really cool. Very Sam Raimi-esque, but I love that. It keeps it fun.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. The Sam Raimi, what Raimi
the who's and ha's,
the Raimi vision at the end.
Yeah, the Raimi vision. Yeah, there's a lot of Raimi vision through the film, which is I'm okay with.
Yeah, and the cast is okay. I mean, you get Karen Black, which I'm not a huge fan of. I respect her, obviously, but
yeah.
But to me, she's the original Mother Firefly in House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah.
And I know that might be sacrilege for those that love Karen Black, but
that was her role like all day. It was almost like and I don't know, even then, because he was still new to the game, like actually wrote that for her because it fit her so well, you know. And I loved who they got after her, but I don't know, it fit the movie really well.
And Mark Peter DeLuise,
Yeah.
he's fine in this, but you know what it kind of reminds me of, and The Stand, the original TV series.
Yeah.
How that I love it. The original, I don't care. I'll die on that hill. The Stand, the original TV series,
Yeah.
is great.
It's good,
But
yeah. MMO
but that
MOON supposed
MOON.
to spell moon.
but the guy,
I couldn't even say it.
and I can't think of his name, but the guy that they got to play Randall Flagg
Mhm.
was like a soap opera actor, and every time he's on screen, I gotta put my hands over my eyes. I just can't watch it because the movie, it's I don't even mind Rob Lowe, right? But then when they get to Randall Flagg and this soap opera guy is playing him, it's kind of the same feeling I get when I see Peter DeLuise in this movie.
Yeah.
It's like I was
He's kind of
maybe
got
this
one
was
speed.
maybe this was miscast. I don't know. He's fine in it, I suppose, but it
Yeah, he
doesn't
plays
take
the
away
part.
from
I
the
mean, I
movie.
don't think anybody really could have sunk their head too hardcore into this movie, you know, and like been like serious about it.
He's basically the 90s. Well, there was a Leo in 90s, but he likes them young, I'll just say that. which
Oh,
which I suppose we'll get into a little bit, but then Amy Dolan's,
yep.
who is playing a 17-year-old, but she was I will say she was in Pumpkinhead 2 Blood Wings, right?
She was
And
also in. She was also in Ticks.
yeah, and Witchboard 2, but Pumpkinhead 2, I've only seen one time, and it was at a horror marathon when I was in high school. And all I remember about it was Punky Brewster. That's it. I don't
Yeah,
remember that movie at all. I had to look up images because I could not have I would never have known that this was the same girl.
yeah, it's funny.
But that's that's not anything about her. That's more of a comment on how memorable Pumpkinhead 2 was.
Right.
But really, there's, the only other, Garrett Morris, obviously, Maddie, he's worth mentioning because Saturday Night Live,
Oh yeah.
when Saturday Night Live was still funny.
And he plays Maddie.
Maddie.
Maddie. Oh man, you made me spill my wine.
Who may be the best character in the movie. He
Yeah, he's
might
pretty
get
awesome.
maybe, but Billy's right up there with him.
Yeah, Billy.
Billy's a contentious character, and a lot of people will probably, especially the younger audience, will probably not like him. But but
Yeah.
but
Our
Billy
era
is
though. That was
Billy is fucking awesome. He's such a little oh I
oh, he's like a rapist in the making for sure. He's
I don't know if I'd say that. He's
maybe he'd be just like a harmless one. You know, he's just going to be the one jerking off outside your window.
I think he's already doing that if in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I looked him up and he didn't do anything besides this, which I understand because he's a terrible actor. But he was also a kid, and which I suppose that doesn't matter nowadays because if you see like the little girl in Train to Busan, Jesus Christ, I think that little girl can outact most adults nowadays. She's
Right.
so good in that. I don't know, but Billy, he wasn't even trying, but he was delivering the lines, and the lines he was given were hilarious.
Apparently, he started up like a helicopter company.
Really?
No, I don't know. I was just trying to put something in for him, make him sound successful.
Make him. Yeah, he's not listening to this. Of all the people that could possibly listen to this, Billy's probably somewhere trying to forget about this movie.
Yeah.
He's like, Jesus Christ, it ruined my career, and which the content I wouldn't say ruined his career. If you watch him act, that's what ruined his career. But he's still. If you watch the movie, Billy still.
Yeah.
He gets the nod as the close second to Maddie. Maybe the first. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm all about Maddie in this. Karen Black does really good in this for her character, because she doesn't have to do anything extenuating, but her makeup looks pretty sweet. And she plays it well. I mean, she can really hold the crazy characters,
Yeah, I was gonna say Karen Black, when she first shows up in the car, I was like, what the fuck? She's like, she looks ghoulish and her acting is terrible.
It's kind of ghoulish. Like, if she acts normal, it's kind of ghoulish, but when she's acting ghoulish, it's kind of normal.
Well, then when she turns into a vampire, that scene where she's like with Frank, is it? That scene is like the best acting in the movie. She's awesome in that when she's seducing Frank.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Karen Black probably has the best scenes as far as like competent, if you were to think of like a competent actor.
Yeah.
Like yeah,
she's got experience for sure.
Yeah, everyone else, well, Peter DeLuise and Amy Dolenz does fine.
Well, I mean, he really puts it in there, so.
Peter's just acting like a sleaze. I mean, which you don't get that right off the top. If you baseline his character, you wouldn't think he's a sleaze. But then if you look into, well, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, special effects are K&B, but they're K&B and they're not. They're K&B and they're not K&B. They're supervised by K&B, but the crew were neither K, N, or B. Right. I just thought that
it doesn't even show up on there, like.
Right. I just thought that deserved a quick mention. It does say K&B effects at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
But go ahead. I'm sorry. I just wanted to mention that because it was mind blowing when I saw that, because I was like, no fucking way is K&B involved in this movie. But sure enough,
and you know
they
what?
signed their name to it.
One thing about this movie too, like the effects are actually pretty goddamn incredible. And it wasn't probably the most popular movie, when it came out. So funding probably wasn't 100% in their favor, obviously, you know what I'm saying? But they made a lot of stuff work and it looks great. I mean, for the time and everything. And it's all, practical except for, the typical 90s animated, glowing things and this and that. But, yeah, I mean, I think, and the imagination is amazing in this too, as far as like their ideas with these vampires and everything. So
yeah, the effects are fine, but I can't think off the top of my head anything that sticks out as like, oh, that's K&B for sure, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, it just looks good. I mean, it looks solid and well designed. The execution of them are good too.
I'll say this. I'm probably going to shit all over this movie, but I fucking love it. So.
Yeah, I'm going to as well. I got so much, but yeah, I like this movie so much too because it's fun. I mean, I don't know.
Right. Just talking about it, I could rewatch it again. It's so fucking, it's such a.
It's goofy as shit, man.
Right. And it flies so far under the radar. I don't know how this hasn't gotten a cult following.
Right. It might. We just don't know about it.
Well, maybe we'll help, like one or two people get
Yeah, maybe.
get a
If
love for
if
this
one new
thing.
person can watch it and like be like, yeah, that was pretty cool, then
Yeah, because I didn't see this movie. Kevin recommended this to me, and when I watched it, I mean, well, I can't say for sure that I haven't seen it, but I don't remember watching it because I surely would have remembered a certain little aspect to the vampires that
oh,
we'll
for
talk
sure.
about later. But I've watched it about 4 times since you mentioned it to me, and it's just great.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. Maybe we're stupid. Maybe we're the right. Maybe we have low enough IQ to where you and I can enjoy this movie,
Oh, for sure.
and so the if
Even if you have
somebody
a high IQ, it's nice to like dumb yourself down every once in a while.
yeah
Show you where you stand. You know what I'm saying?
just just enjoy a movie once in a while.
Yeah.
Don't pick the shit out of it. It's fucking
Like we're getting
entertaining.
ready to do.
Right,
but
right.
that's also
We're about
that's
to
also
nitpick the
fun.
we're about to nitpick the fuck out of this, but make no mistake, I love this
Yeah,
movie.
for sure.
So, the the movie opens to a dirty sky, and then it pans down to a Jesus mobile.
Man, I'll tell you what, you want to talk about video quality with this. All right. So I own this on VHS, and I owned this two different times when Hollywood Video was going on, or when they were selling all their VHS, because they were converting to DVD exclusively, you know.
Yeah.
I went in and just bought as much as the horror section as I could possibly afford. This was one of them, but I didn't have a sleeve for it, and then it mysteriously disappeared, and then I found it again for like $2 at a swap, and I was like, "Holy shit!" But watching it, and I thought it was my tape, but it's like weird and wavy at the top, like your heads are fucking dirty
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
your player, you know?
Tracking.
Yeah. So I tried that and it didn't do anything. And I was like, okay, whatever. It's an old ass tape. You know, I'll just deal with it. You know, I'll watch it limited. So put it up, and then it came on Tubi, and I was like, sweet, I want to watch it on Tubi, you know, whatever. And same thing, man. At least I don't know if the version you saw, but the one on Tubi does the exact same thing. So I
That's
think that's
funny.
crazy. I don't know if they just went straight from the tape or what, or I don't know, but
Well, point being, don't let this discourage you because the opening scene with the sky looks terrible, but the movie is 1000 times worth watching.
well,
And
it makes up
anyway,
for it with that light up cross though on top of the van though, because it's like those things are so
well,
goddamn funny anyway.
it's setting up something for later, but
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
anyway, you were introducing the best character in the movie. Well,
Billy.
what who we decided is probably a tie for first or a close second. So go ahead.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. So and enter His Majesty Billy. And what is he doing?
Oh, he's perusing the local porno magazine stand that's out on the street with no one tending to it.
Next to the comic books.
I didn't see any comic
Really?
books. Well, maybe that says something about me, but all I saw was uh, porno magazines, and of course, he pulls the one out with no nudity on the cover that I've never heard of. It's called Tatas.
Tatas. This is all happening in Alburg, USA, a peaceful and unassuming township nestled in quiet woods. But they have porno mags like sitting outside in the middle of downtown.
Yeah, that nobody cares that
It
this.
was a different time.
Well, I'm not throwing stones because Billy looks like he's probably about 12 or 13,
It's about
which
right.
which finding that stand out on the street must have been like in the Goonies when they found the treasure. It must have been so goddamn exciting. But he's just casual about it because, as you'll find out, he is a complex character.
Yeah.
That he has no need for these magazines. It's just extracurricular for him.
Well, it's daytime reading is what that is, because he's very busy at night.
Yeah, he is very busy at night. And
yeah, idle hands are the devil's workshop.
I'm surprised he's not more popular.
Yeah,
I'd be friends with him.
So he's fingering through a porno mag, as we see, and then we got our other runner up for first, Maddie, and he comes sloshing up, through the alleyway there behind the comic and porn stand, and makes his way out under the road, and then we
my man Maddie,
he's just having the time of his life, man.
This motherfucker gets hit by a truck in front of everybody and nobody gives a shit. As a matter of fact, Billy fucking laughs about it.
Dude, he's watching it all happen and smiling, like waiting for it to fucking go down, dude.
And you know what the irony is?
He's about to get hit.
Made me spill my wine.
You know what the irony is? The only person that seems to give a shit is the police officer.
Yeah. She's one of my favorites in this too. Like, honestly, I think she's a runner-up, even though she's short-lived.
She reminds me of Roseanne's sister.
Yeah. Who, Jackie?
Well, yeah, Jackie. But she's the only one that seems to give a shit about Maddie. And she's a police officer, and she helps him up. Is public intoxication not a crime in this town? Because he's shit-faced. He just got hit by a truck, and she helps him up, and he even offers her a drink of his alcohol.
Wine, man.
His wine. And she just
she totally let him take his booze and saunter on about.
Probably the coolest police officer ever.
Yeah. She knows Maddie. They go back.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's probably fucked her. she but yeah, anyway, we get the introduction to our two I don't know if you wouldn't, our female lead, Lucy.
Right? After Maddie gets put in a safe spot to drink, we cut to the introduction of our two. I don't know, what would they be considered in this? The heroines? Kind of. I mean,
well,
not both of them, but one of them anyway. Cindy.
I don't know. You wouldn't call them heroines because Lucy. Well, yeah, I guess you would, because they do kind of.
Yeah, Cindy comes back around.
They do kind of save the. Well, shit.
Well, we can't forget about Peter DeLuise, but Peter
DeLuise, he don't do.
Can't forget about Mark Gardner.
Peter don't do shit.
But I would say obviously Maddie and those two are the ones that got the job done.
Maddie's the real hero of the story. I mean, Spoiler. Maddie is the there's a real redemption arc here.
So we go in and we meet Lucy and Cindy. Karen drops them off, which I keep forgetting.
Karen drops Cindy off.
Yeah, Karen drops Cindy off. And they haven't seen each other, it looks like, in a second. And it's summertime. And they're like, oh, my God, they're going to go hang out.
Oh, my God.
So excited. They're going to go. They're going to have a wild night.
They're performing a ritual. You know that, right?
Oh, ritual? Yeah.
It's not a wild night. There's some weird fucking ritual that these kids have when they leave the town.
Right.
Because well, first of all, let me say, Lucy says that she's 17. She says this out loud.
Right. Because she's getting ready to be an adult and move on out of the town.
Right. But remember that she is 17.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
17.
Cindy says, they'd go to do this tradition, not so much a ritual tradition. Cindy says every kid that leaves Alberg has to swim in a crypt. Otherwise, you never wash the dirt off this town. The dirt of this town off of you, right?
Right.
And she says, if you don't do this, you'll end up right back here. I'm paraphrasing, but
Right.
that's basically what she says. So you got two, which would never happen. You got two
It
girls.
might. I don't know. Me and you probably would have done some. Me and you watched people go jump and swim in Mirror Lake back in the day. That shit was fucking nasty.
Kevin, you and I are not pretty girls. We
back,
are far
back then. We may have thought we were, though.
Yeah, I suppose. But while they're swimming, you find out, you get a little droplet of exposition where Cindy is talking about fucking Lucy's ex-boyfriend, right?
Right.
And that's where you kind of find out that Lucy's a virgin.
Mm-hmm.
Because Cindy was like, if you won't fuck him, I will. Right?
I'm just putting it out there. Yeah.
That's basically what they're saying.
Yeah.
How cool must that guy be? Right? And right at this point, you get your first look at the iconic, I don't know, what would you call it? It's because it's definitely unique to this film, what I like to call the whoopee cushions.
Oh yeah, because so they go, which is this gigantic abandoned church in the middle of their town, and they go in there and they have to go down into the crypts, and that's where it's all flooded because they had to flood the crypts, and we learn about that later on. And the ritual is obviously they got their booze and their smokes, and they go on down there, and Lucy's got to go take herself a dip into the water to wash off all that dirt, like we talked about. So Cindy gets in, and that's when they're talking, and then she drops her necklace, right? And as that's fallen, we see down there these people with the whoopee cushions, but they've puked up their lungs, and they're just like inhaling, and that's how they breathe when they sleep.
I was gonna say
pretty wicked.
Which I was gonna say real quick, just to clarify, I'm calling them whoopee cushions.
Yes,
they are their lungs.
Yeah, they're whoopee cushions. Yep. But they're awesome. So this happens. So Lucy loses her cross necklace, and we see that fall down and land on the face of a monster.
Zakir.
Yeah.
What? You've awoken Zakir.
Rise.
Rise. Oh, my children of the night. What sweet music you make. Play.
So his eyes are open, and he's watching them swimming back and forth. Cindy's like, I'll go get your necklace, and dives down there and sees him, and she freaks out. He grabs her, and at this time, Lucy's hauling ass out of the water. The water lights up, which I actually like that scene a bunch when the water's bubbling and there's lights underneath. And then he shoots up with her, and they start playing that like triumphant music, and then all you see is like her legs shaking, and there's just like blood gushing down. Thought that scene was great. Awesome.
Well, here's something funny that I noticed when Zakir is attacking Cindy. You get the gold light coming out of the water.
Yeah.
You know what that reminded me of?
What?
We just talked about Night of the Creeps, and when Ray and the police officers are cornering the axe murderer in the alleyway, when they shoot him, golden light like
that's
illuminates from inside of him. It's like a common thread.
Yeah. Just illuminate it.
I would assume that it's one of those things where, they just didn't want to have all the blood because it might have affected the rating. Maybe I don't know.
No, I thought it was sweet.
Yeah, it still looks pretty cool. Golden light.
Yeah, we cut back to Mark at the school. What was the town that he's in?
It is River Junction.
Right.
A small industrial town 50 miles south of Alburg.
Because we need to know this for no reason.
No reason whatsoever. I mean, it really could have taken place in the same town, but whatever.
Yeah.
Minor nitpick. Very minor.
I don't know why they did it like that, but I don't know. It was all shot in Michigan, so I don't know if that means anything.
Well, it has to be an industrial town because I think that's where the lumber mill later on is located, or maybe it's not. Maybe the lumber mill's in Alburg. I'm not sure.
I believe it's in Alburg.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think you're right.
So yeah, we cut to this, and this we introduce Mark's character, and he's a teacher. He's probably 25. I mean, as far as his character, he's about 25 years old. And this will make sense later. Actually, it won't make sense later, but it totally will. The DeLuise. He's 25 in this movie.
The DeLuise. Hey, what you young girls doing around here? Yeah. Sorry.
The DeLuise.
Oh, I'm a DeLuise. Don't you know my daddy, Dom?
So he's talking to this single student, this girl in his class, and what are they doing? Paradise Lost?
Well, I'm guessing this girl is, what would you think, 13, 14?
Her portrayal, yeah, it's probably about that. She's just learning.
She looks like she's about 13 or 14.
I think she's too young to be trying to be reading Paradise Lost. That's what I kind of think. No. Just to understand it, because it's like, I don't know, unless she's like a prodigy and she just can't, I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, full disclosure, Paradise Lost, I stole this book from my high school library because it was so edgy, man, you know. But look, this girl, I don't know what her
Greek
backstory.
To me.
I don't know what her backstory is, but from the scene, you kind of get the impression that she has trouble reading, right?
Yeah, she's definitely a little bit behind, and he's tutoring her.
And while I know the book that he throws on the table, or his mom or whoever, is called The Medieval Library, right? But the quote that he reads is from Paradise Lost, and he even mentions, he says, "What do you think Uncle Milty is talking about?"
Yeah.
And then he says, "I think we can leave Uncle Milty to his paradise," right?
Right.
And I was like, well, he's obviously reading Paradise Lost, right? And but then the book they throw down is not Paradise Lost. So I had to look it up because, I'm a dummy. But there's a quote that he reads. It's the "In dim eclipse, disastrous twilight sheds on half the nations, and the fear of change perplexes monarchs." That old hat.
Nerd.
But anyway,
that old hat.
I stole this book from my high school library because I was an edgy teenager, and when I got it, it is basically, if you've not read this book, it's basically long form poetry. Probably controversial, but I don't think it's very interesting.
Yeah,
it's basically right. It's like
I'd read something else probably before I'd try to take a deep dive into that. No offense.
If you're trying to teach a girl to read, you don't skip right over Clifford and get into John Milton's Paradise Lost.
Right. Maybe they're trying to give him like a certain book, and he was like, "I'm DeLuise. I ain't gonna be teaching her no Clifford.
I'm DeLuise. Don't bring me to Clifford. I need some poetry, yo." I've never seen an interview with Peter DeLuise. From what I can, at least
it sounds just like him. I don't know. I haven't seen one either.
Yo, hey, Kevin, yo, you want? I'm a DeLuise. Humble brag. I'm a DeLuise.
She's pissed about him teaching her about this particular book because, you know, it's what it is, and she's got a Christian daughter and she's a Christian woman.
I don't know that they ever clarify why she's upset.
They don't clarify anything about this scene because she's back there watching, and then there's this Raimi vision from the floor, like you fell over, and you're just like following her when she's going up to talk to DeLuise. I'm sorry, Mark. I'll start saying Mark because
Mark. She's talking to Mark.
Yeah, and she's mad, and all it is a close up on her face, and all you see is a scar, like she got cut. You know, like she's like the Joker, and she's like half Joker. And she's obviously expressing concern, and then we enter Frank. You know, he comes in out of nowhere, and then she huffs and puffs and storms out the room. We go back to it at no time.
Oh yeah, I forgot Frank does come in at this point. The priest who kind of sets off all this bullshit because he's a weak man.
God help him.
Well, I was hoping, and we'll talk about him more later, but anyone that's a fan of Nightbreed, which we have to cover someday because Nightbreed is amazing.
Oh, for sure.
But anyone that knows Nightbreed, when I first saw Frank, I was expecting like the Father Ashbury from Nightbreed, that kind of character arc, you know?
Yeah.
Where he almost becomes a fanatic and gets, well, I don't know. You'd have to watch Nightbreed to understand
this. If we get too far into it, I know what you're saying.
Right. It's just, they really kind of squander Frank, his character. I don't know. But anyway. I'm getting off topic. It's just a nitpick because I think they could have done a lot more with Frank.
Oh yeah, they could have. He was definitely a nice cut to this part because it didn't make any sense. But so he enters and he's clearly stressed out. I mean, he's relighting his cigarette and over again.
He's like, this is how you can tell I'm stressed. I like cigarettes.
It's bad, my friend. So he comes in. He's like, man, you know, he's clearly troubled. He's severely haunted. And Mark's like, what's up, man? You know, like whatever. And he's like, we gotta go back to my house. I got something to show you.
I'd be like, this isn't your penis, right? We're gonna see, right? This isn't like
I helped you before, man. Like, you know, we can get through this. We're in this together, buddy.
Yeah, he's like, friends to the end. Heidi ho, ha ha ha.
So yeah, we get this shot down. It's Frank's house, and it looks like a scene from like a David Lynch movie because of the industrial background, and then like this house, you know, like it's wooded. It's strange, but so they're walking into the house, you know, and he's like, gonna come in here. He looks over. There's a pile of steaks on the ground, not like raw steak, but like wooden ones. And what's he got? Like a fish tank full of leeches.
You said wooden. Sweet. Not STEAK, but STAKE.
Yeah. Yeah, the wooden ones. The wooden ones, not the meaty ones.
The ones made of wood. DeLuise would never use would never use a meat steak. Not to kill no vampire. I don't use no meat steaks, Kevin.
Oh my god, dude!
And Frank's
me.
like, check out my watch, bro.
Yeah, it's Swiss.
Accurate. He says it's Swiss. It's
Swiss.
accurate to 10th of a second.
Swiss, the best. I've got it set to the Navy's laser clock in Bethesda, Maryland. Accurate to a 10th of a second every 10 years.
Like, why? Why is this necessary?
And then he's drinking profusely because it keeps him calm. And he's drinking out of what looks like the old glasses you used to get at like McDonald's with like Kermit the Frog on it.
Did you notice did you notice the humble brag that Frank says at this point?
No.
Well, Frank confesses to banging his brother's widow, right, Karen?
Oh yeah, that part. Where did he?
But but when he's banging on the wall, he goes time and time again.
God damn me to hell! I slept with my brother's wife, and not just one time, and time again.
Humble brag if I've ever heard it. He's like, I didn't just bang her once, Mark. I was banging her all the time. I was like, come on, man.
Thanks for your confession. Yeah, dude.
Right. Fucking Frank. At least he's
lost
could
his
have been
mind.
worse. He could have been much worse. He is a priest.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll move on from that.
So, he said he's got like a fish tank full of leeches, and we hear mysterious moaning after he hits the wall. So he's like, what is that? Yeah. Yeah. So, they go up there, they go up the stairs. He has Mark look in the door to this room where the moaning was coming from. He's like, oh my God, there's a woman drowning in the bathtub. Windows are boarded up. It's dark. We pass over and see Cindy with her lungs puked up on her chest. And then we see this like ratchet ass cocoon thing on the bed. And Frank calls out, watch. And the sun goes down. Cindy gets up out of the tub and scoops her whoopee cushions back in.
Yeah, she sucks her whoopee cushion back in her mouth.
And we see this like cyst is starting to leak that's all over the bed, and everything's getting sucked back inside this thing that's on the bed, and it's just a river of gore.
Yeah, he like throws the leeches under the door.
Yeah.
Which I make this make sense. Okay. He throws the leeches under the door. Cindy and Karen were made vampires. Actually,
this is where I'm going to go into.
Actually, Cindy would have turned Karen into a vampire.
Right.
So she should have been the more powerful of the two. Because she was the first. She was the first. She turned Karen into a vampire. But for some reason,
they just turned her into a meth head.
Cindy eats the leeches, and Karen feeds off of Cindy, who is a vampire.
She's a feedee, not a feeder.
I do not understand this.
I know I was going to bring that up too, for sure. How is it that she's not full vampire? How is it that if she turned Karen, how is she not a vampire? You know what I'm saying? I don't get it. Like, you don't see her getting attacked even. Like, we don't even know how many days are passed when we meet Mark anyway, because that same day, clearly this has been going on.
We do know, and I had to go back and look this up because the time in this movie is confusing.
Yeah.
But Frank says it was 3 days ago.
Okay.
So this is 3 days after.
Yeah, you are right. I do kind of remember that. Okay. But still 3 days and he's all set up. Like, it's
I wasn't gonna mention this, but one of the things about the vampires in this movie is they seem to have no powers.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't chain me to a bed and hope to keep me in there for 3 days. And he somehow, which I think Frank's got some explaining to do why he has these shackles in his bedroom, but he chains Karen to the bed, and Cindy's not even chained to anything. She's free to move around.
I know. I know.
Boards nailed to the windows are keeping her in there.
It all is, and that's what's crazy.
Yeah, it's
and she's
crazy.
Not a vampire, so it's I don't know.
Who's not?
Cindy. I mean, she is, but she's not full vampire. It's like they didn't.
Yeah, well, she didn't go through the transformation, and you never get to see her with the teeth. But I would assume she's a vampire because she would have had to have made Karen a vampire.
That's what I think, but instead they turned her into a meth head.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be her like struggle to not want to kill humans. You know, she wants to.
Oh my god.
Yeah, whatever. You could find some worthy of drinking their blood. Just saying. I don't think it would take you too long. But yeah, this is basically Frank proving to Mark that there is a problem, and whether he thinks it's vampires or not, it's certainly something fucked up.
Yeah, something goofy's happening. And when he tried to call Lucy's grandma, all that happened was on the other line.
Yeah, he was like, "Did you redial that? Because I was on phone sex earlier." And
did you star 69 it?
Yeah, did you star 69 that? You might want to
star
dial
67 before I did it. Oh my god.
Yeah, but Frank has Mark go to try to save Lucy, right? And he says he has to stay back, you know, to watch over Cindy and Karen. But that accomplishes nothing. I'd have been like, "Fuck you, Frank, you're coming with me."
Right.
You can't lay all this on me and tell me to go save Lucy, and this is your problem. The girls are locked up in the bedroom, apparently helpless because, vampire or not, they can't seem to pull a board out of the wall.
Yep, they're trapped.
They're trapped. They're hopelessly trapped. But that's kind of what sets up Mark and Lucy's meeting, because he heads to grandmother's house.
He heads back to Alberg.
Yep. Find Lucy in distress for 3 fucking days in a goddamn closet or whatever. Hiding from a seemingly powerless vampire.
Well, the grandma, I feel like, had some kind of weird supernatural power, because, you know, he enters here. She's like offering him all kinds of food. And what she say, like, she'd probably feel better if she eats a hamburger or something. I don't know. But she's like all nailed herself into the closet, and he just wants to go talk to her and make sure she's good. And then we see some dentures hit the ground.
Yep, and then the toofs come out.
The toofs come out.
The toofers come out. And grandma's trying to get some blood from Marcus.
It's like, yeah, she's trying to get some of that blood, that Deloise.
She wants some Deloise blood.
She's wheezing for some Deloise.
But Lucy saves the day at this moment because she whacks grandma in the head with a golf club.
Yep. He gets her busted out, and she's like, she's a vampire, you know, and then, yep.
Yeah. Then
takes that iron to the head.
Yeah. Yeah. then as they're escaping, Officer Gates fucks everything up because she pulls them over and here's another time travel moment because when they left Grandma, okay, it was 50 miles to from Alberg to uh that other place
Oh yeah,
that I can't ever remember what the name is.
I can't remember. Something like that.
But it's a 50 miles, right? It's 50 miles away, so it's like what? Not even an hour at 60 miles an hour, right?
He's flying though, man.
Well, the thing is, he gets pulled over by Officer Gates and she says that there's a missing person report already out.
Yeah.
So did she wake up immediately and the cops teleported to her house and filed this report that Officer Gates is referring to? Or is Mark a slow fucking driver
Yeah.
that that this 50-mile drive is taking hours? I'm not sure that I don't know that I understand this.
Yeah.
Quite, but
that'll go in the envelope of the rest of the stuff.
Right. That's the main issue that I have with this movie is the time traveling element because it seems like they're jumping all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Officer Gates gets Lucy and takes her back to Grandma's house. So we kind of have to redo this. Like Mark has to go back and try to save her again.
Right.
And in the process, you get the introduction to the man, the myth, the legend, Billy.
Billy.
Billy, the culmination of all 13-year-old boys' thoughts in the 90s.
Oh, wait. We forgot about the part where it cuts back to Frank and Karen's yelling all kinds of shit at him.
Yeah, well, Frank is a pussy.
He's starting to break down though at this point.
It's aggravating. Frank's character is almost infuriating because you're like, what? Okay, he had an affair with Karen, and I don't know that it tells how long ago this was, but for fuck's sake, man, get over it.
Right.
I mean, if it's this hard to not, if it's this hard to resist her, maybe you shouldn't be a priest.
Yeah.
Because I'm a normal human man. I would have gave in like 5 minutes. So we would have been fucked. Because
I guess like since you're already in at that point.
While I did mention earlier that Karen looked ghoulish, when
well, it's that whole weird thing, man. Like zombie strippers, like everybody's all about Jenna Jameson, but I've never found her attractive until like she started rotting in that movie, and I was like, she looks halfway decent. So, I mean, is that okay to say?
That might say something about you.
Oh, I mean, I don't know.
But for me, if I were in Frank's, I'm not a priest. I'm far from it. And you got look, a little history. Kevin and I used to be a couple of super goths. And maybe someday we'll post pictures about this.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll have to see. But but if I had 2 vampire women tied up in my bedroom, this movie's over in about 5 minutes.
Simple and done.
Yeah, I'd be like, sweet. I would not have any of this inner turmoil that Frank is going through. It would be because he goes up to the room and Karen is in shackles for some reason, but she's standing there in a clearly see-through gown. I'm not a strong enough man because I might have thought she was ghoulish at the beginning, but my brain would severely be impaired by the outfit she's wearing when. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying. Kevin, like I said, some of this might be explained someday if Kevin and I put some pictures online.
Yeah, it's silly.
You'll see how fucked up we were.
I'm over here talking about how somebody looked a lot hotter, like when the more they rotted.
Exactly. We're probably both very mentally ill.
Yeah, there's probably a little bit of that, right? Though it makes the world go around.
But
it's
yeah,
the road to freedom.
Frank is a giant. Frank, they squandered this character. Frank is such a big pussy. He's like, and then look, he gives in, right? He gives in to her.
Oh, for sure.
And then he just curls up in the bed in a fetal position and lets her feed off of him, which leads to nothing.
Right.
Like he doesn't become a vampire for some reason. He's just I don't understand it. I was hoping. I was like, oh, this is a Nightbreed moment. He's gonna become fanatical, he's gonna be like this. He's gonna become the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But it never happens.
Yeah, it's kind of left at its wake. I don't know.
But
yeah, that's another one of those things. It's like, what? Like, you built all this up and now there's nothing.
Yeah, I think it was again, we're shitting on this movie, but I love it. Kevin loves it. It's
fun.
It's just Frank is infuriating.
I gotta say something too, man. Like, a lot of the scenes and the lighting in this movie is really cool. And I'm sure it was
the
all
bedroom
just like
windows for sure.
Yeah, like even when just the lighting, like when he gets pulled over and how they have it all set up. Everything's tinted a certain way, or super contrasty, or there's a lot of blues or oranges. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's super smack in your face, like color gels. I think that's I like that. It's a simple thing.
Like I said, it's gonna help when we get if we ever get a Blu-ray release of this. Scream Factory, please. but anyway.
So the officer drops Lucy back off with her grandma, and she's screaming that she's a vampire. Don't leave her. And the officer's walking back to her car.
And she gets whacked in the head by you know who.
So we think.
No spoilers. It may not be him directly, but he's the architect of this little scenario.
Right.
He definitely set all this up.
For sure. So we think.
Or I didn't mean he. It could be anybody.
Hey, what are you guys doing?
This is where we Mark shows up at Grandma's house to save Lucy again, and we get our proper introduction to what would you call him?
Who
Billy.
Billy.
He is like
what would he be?
Hormones, concentrated hormones.
Yeah, he's at the time, 91 would be any 13-year-old boy, especially if they just have like fucking porn mags next to the comic books in the middle of downtown.
Now, before you judge Billy, just remember this poor little guy did not have the access that you have with cell phones, and while I admit what he's doing is wrong, it's certainly not something that all the boys back then didn't think about. Am I wrong?
And has been in like every movie.
Because he never crosses that line, right? He's not a...
As far as we know.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, spoiler, he doesn't last much longer.
He might steal shoes.
Yeah, he might steal shoes. Maybe he steals panties and
slippers
on them. But I don't think he's reached the point of sexual assault yet.
Yeah, we're not there yet. He's only 13.
Right. I can't say that he has, but as far as his actions go, don't judge him too harshly. He's going through some things. To say the least.
Yeah.
This poor kid is backed up to his fucking eyeballs. He is just but Mark is trying to find a way into grandmother's house, right? To save Lucy yet again.
Mm-hmm.
And he runs into Billy. 116. But what's Billy say? He says, this fucking guy, fucking kid, he's what he says, I've seen all the girls in town, and this one has the nicest, roundest, firm pair of, and then he gets interrupted.
Yeah, he goes, who the hell are you?
Who the hell are you?
You seen her yet? She'll be getting ready for bed about now. She's a fox. I've seen all the girls in town, and this one's got the nicest, roundest, firm pair of...
Who the hell are you?
He just comes up out of nowhere, too. He says he knows all the houses around here. He says, come on, it might be Mr. Bubble Night.
You want to get a good look at her?
Sure.
I know how to see into all the houses around here. Come on, it might be Mr. Bubble Night.
Might be Mr. Bubble Night. Come on. The kid's clearly a little pervert, but you wouldn't follow him?
DeLuise, man. He's got to go. He's on the trail.
DeLuise certainly would have been Mr. Bubble Night. Let's go.
Yeah.
He says... So Billy says, let's check the living room window. Sometimes when her grandma's gone, she dances to music in her underwear. It's like, is this fucking kid a phantom? Is he invisible? because he's out. Look, he's not inconspicuous. He's not even wearing all black. He's not trying to hide. Look, girls.
He's wearing a striped shirt.
Close your curtains. Don't, if it's nighttime and your lights are on, close the goddamn curtains, because there might be a Billy outside.
There might be. They always start out as a Billy.
But it's so fucking hilarious when Mike drives Billy away. But when he gets in the house, do you remember how he gets inside Grandma's house?
Oh shit.
Oh man, you gotta remember this. He fucking dives through the window.
Through that fucking cardboard wall, and
it's almost comical. He fucking Kool-Aid Mans it through there.
He does that, like, yeah, he definitely does the Kool-Aid Man.
He just throws his body through the window.
Yeah, dude. Oh my god.
And
it just falls apart too. It's just like, I don't know. I don't even know how he's able to do that.
Well, and this is like the first time you get to see, I don't know if you would exactly call it a Van Helsing moment, but he stakes Grandma, right?
Yeah, and this is when I was talking about earlier, the paranormal stuff that's happening. When he's, because like everything's going batshit in her kitchen, like the toaster's making toast and burning it, and the washing machine's going ape shit. Like everything is, there's sparks coming out of a fucking teapot. Like,
which was weird because
mixers going.
Yeah, it seems like the vampires don't have any powers, but then Grandma has like some poltergeist shit happening around her.
Yeah,
and,
she's like going hard, man. I mean, and all she was doing was prepping up to eat her granddaughter.
Yep, she's trying to get her a little bit.
So Mark rescues Lucy, and they're getting the hell out of town, but they can't because of some flaming trees on the road that they couldn't go around. So they're going to find another road to try to get out of Alberg, because, you know, once you are in Alberg, you'll never leave. And guess who comes in the picture?
Little Billy.
Yeah, he waves them down when they're speeding around out of the middle of nowhere. And he's like, oh, you know, this is happening. You got to get there, you know, basically bringing them right to the lodge so that everybody can have their way.
Oh, you know, one thing we did forget to mention is when Karen finally feeds off of Frank, the little like garbage bag she puts herself in.
Yes, we forgot to mention that completely. Damn.
Yeah,
because that shit is awesome.
Yeah, because Cindy lays in the bathtub and like pukes her fucking lungs out.
Yep.
Literally.
Yep.
And Karen, after she feeds off Frank, she like pukes up a garbage bag and fills it full of spermicide.
Yep.
or KY jelly, whatever that shit is. It's some kind of clear jelly.
Yeah, Karen finally convinces Frank to come in the room, and he just curls up in fetal position, and she starts feeding on him. And
you know what I thought?
She pukes up after that. Yeah, she pukes up the trash.
Oh yeah, she pukes up a whoopee cushion too, don't she?
Yeah, after she's like encased herself in that trash bag or the sack or whatever.
I'll tell you this. I thought about this. I was like, you know, you could stake them, sure. That would handle it. But I would be curious, like a Mythbuster. I would take a running start down the hallway, jump as high as I could through the air, tuck my legs in, and cannonball the shit out of that whoopee cushion. I would like to see if I could pop an eyeball out or something. Maybe that'll kill him.
Drop a bee on it.
Because it does not make sense that because vampires, which Cindy mentions later, and you know, later on Cindy mentions that she's tried to smoke a cigarette, but her lungs don't work. But we see her lungs working. Get your story straight.
Only when she sleeps, though.
I'm just saying, I think I could pop her eyeballs out with a swift cannonball on that fucking pair of lungs sitting on her chest. Or that whoopee cushion, whatever you want to call it.
I still think it's so cool, man. It's such a weird idea to have that these vampires just encase themselves in like this shit and like puke up a bunch of embryonic fluid and spit their lungs out to go over top of it. Is that what it is? I believe so. Some kind of, I don't know, I guess it could be some kind of preservative or spermicide, like you said.
She's puking up MSG. It like comes out of her mouth like this clear jelly.
So it's so gnarly.
And that pussy Frank is just curled up, laying next to her, crying like a baby.
He's completely taking it.
But I just wanted to mention that because I forgot about all that.
Man, it's funny that I got sick and we're doing this one because that's exactly like what I felt like for like 2 days. Like I was puking my lungs up on my chest and I was in this sack.
I thought you meant you felt like you puked up a bunch of spermicide.
You know what? That may have been what happened. I just spaced. I hate when that happens, man. Oh shit.
What is they go to the lodge, right?
Right. We go back to Mark and Lucy. They made it to the lodge, and Billy, and they're peeking in there and determine that it's Vampire City and they're playing bingo.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's worth mentioning. It's called the Royal Windsor Lodge, and the sign says bingo tonight, leech buffet.
Mm-hmm.
Little Billy finally reveals himself as the familiar, I guess you would call it, to Zakir.
Yep. He's as familiar, and then he has to make sure that he goes through and explains exactly the definition of what a familiar is.
I love Billy. Oh, you little fucker.
You little fucker.
Oh man, poor little guy. He doesn't spoiler, he doesn't survive much longer, but God rest little Billy.
Maybe may he have all the visions of Mr. Bubble Knight.
Yeah.
Eternal.
But it's like it's funny because I used to go to bingo night with my mom.
Yeah.
But it's bingo. All the vampires are playing bingo, and they bring Officer Gates in, right? And she starts fucking these vampires up. Like, that's why I said it's like these vampires have no powers, because Officer Gates is fucking them up. Like, if it wasn't for Zakir having this plot armor bullshit power, Officer Gates would have killed every vampire in the room.
Yep.
But Zakir finally shows up.
Right.
And he's the one that kills Officer Gates. He slits her throat with his little fingy nails.
Yeah, and just like that, she's gone. Like, that's exactly what goes down. And I kind of like that, though. It just kind of like got rid of her.
Well, it definitely explains that it definitely shows that he's powerful, but it doesn't really give us a metric to measure how powerful he is, because all the other vampires actually seem like they've gotten weaker since they became vampires, right?
Yeah.
So I am not sure how powerful Zakir is at this point. Or it should be worth mentioning that Zakir has his origin story is kind of like Freddy Krueger. He was a Sunday school teacher that was diddling all the kids, which I guess they must have Sunday school at night. But he was Reverend Vlado?
I believe so, yeah.
His name was Vlado. A little on the nose. Vlado Zakir. But his little origin story, at least I think it's Cindy that says it. She says he was a Sunday school teacher, or it might have been Maddie.
It was Maddie. I think he was explaining.
Yeah, he was a Sunday school teacher that they like the town kind of. I don't know if they killed him.
No, he went. I believe he took off
into the crypts, right, with the little boys.
Yes, he retreated into the crypt with all the boys, and then Maddie was one of the ones responsible for flooding the crypt.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm way off. I'm zigzagging here, but I forgot Billy when he reveals himself as the familiar.
Right.
He has a quote, right? I wrote a quote down here because I thought it was funny. He says, "You want to go inside and get to know some of the locals? I've seen them all naked."
Yeah, I've seen them all naked.
And he has like the craziest, like the face he's making. He has like baby fat on his cheeks. He's like, got this little kid fat face. It's like the weirdest fucking line coming out of this little kid's mouth.
He's looking forward to seeing you again, Lucy. Want to go inside and get to know some of the locals? I've seen them all naked.
How about his death scene where... Okay, how about when he's running and we get another like crazy like front view of the camera when someone's running? And he he gets speared.
Well, is it Mark and Cindy escape do they escape while Officer Gates is getting murdered?
Yeah, basically, yeah, like right when Officer Gates gets gets cut, gets her neck slit, then they seize the opportunity and take off, and Billy's like,
Mark posts up.
The prize is getting away, and then they take off, and he's hauling ass, man, like after him.
Little son of a bitch.
And then Mark turns around and spears him, and Billy's like, "Told you I'm not a vampire."
No, Mark does not spear him. Mark is innocent in this. He's just standing there holding a stake.
Right. As he's running
Billy
towards
runs into it.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to be standing here and I'm holding this stake. And if you run into it, that's your fault.
Yeah.
That is so fucking funny.
And then he goes, I told you I'm not a vampire. And then he does the infamous son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch. And sadly, that's the end of our man, Billy.
Yep.
I told you I'm not a vampire. Son of a bitch.
God rest his soul. We love you, Billy.
R.I.P. Maybe be in the big bubble bath in the sky.
May he see all the naked women that he chooses to see. Billy, you will be missed.
May you have an infinite amount of neighbors' windows to look into. And so we get Lucy's, her and Mark have gotten split up, and she goes wandering down an alley and comes across this sack that it looks like an orgy's taking place inside, which is really fucking weird.
It's a proper response, though.
Yeah,
it's like if I walked down an alley, right? If I was walking down that alley and I saw two people banging inside a fucking trash bag, I would. I don't know. I'd probably watch.
I probably saw something like that happen at Outland once too.
It might hypnotize me.
Yeah.
Oh, you said the word. You said the word. You're gonna trigger the 0.005% of people that know what Outlands is.
And I'm even talking about the OG one.
But the protagonist of this movie, probably the savior, the man who saves everybody, shows up in time. And his intentions aren't to save Lucy or Mark. He's coming back to save Officer Gates because, she was the only person that gave a shit about him.
Yeah, that's his buddy.
But this motherfucker driving this van is the funniest shit you could. If someone told me there was a vampire movie that existed where a drunk man is fucking sideswiping every goddamn car and chasing these fucking vampires through the streets, sign me up, because it is the funniest shit. He's like hitting every goddamn car on the road and trying to drive down he saves Mark and Lucy. But in the meantime, he's clearly drunk, but Jesus Christ, he's hitting everything.
Oh man, he's having time of his life right now.
Yeah, except the vampires. But then, Maddie, they escape to the lumber mill. Which you get a little more of the story here, but I won't go too much into that because it's not super crucial, to the enjoyment of the movie. But that's where he tells you about the whole the
origin story. Yeah,
like the Freddy Krueger shit. Whatever.
But, they're all here retreating and nursing their wounds. He tells them the story, and this ends up becoming like the big showdown spot, right? As soon as
no, this is the lumber mill. The finale is at the church.
Right, the church. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. So,
but this is when Cindy shows up, right?
Right. Yeah, they're all going to sleep, and she gets woke up by Cindy, and she is yet to have turned into a vampire. She is looking more like she's been up for like 2 weeks.
I think she is a vampire at this point because I think she's who turned Karen into a vampire.
But we don't know that because she hasn't turned full vampire. She's a feedee.
Well,
I don't even know
here's her fucking teeth are so yellow. Is it a problem that I think she's hotter now than she was when
Well, when she's looking all like cracked out. I mean, it's about the same premise as like.
Does this go back to you and I being
weird?
Weird.
She looks better when she's decaying.
Her teeth are so like fluorescent yellow.
And but she's I'm like all dead looking. Yeah.
But I'm like, she's kind of hot there.
You look better. You look better when you're See, it's not so weird now, is it?
Well, that just says something about me. Like I said,
I don't know.
Someday we'll prove this to people how fucking deranged Kevin and I used to be. We're perfectly well-adjusted adults now.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
100%.
Oh my god. So why did Cindy come to get Lucy?
Because for some reason she thought she needed Lucy to help her to free the children at the crypt.
Right.
And somehow that was going to kill Zakir, even though I think from what I understand, the children are there to supply Zakir with blood as he's sleeping, right? So since he's awake, I don't think he needs the children anymore.
Yeah, he's just stockpiling for when he goes back to sleep.
But their plan is to go save the children because for some reason that will kill Zakir. I don't quite understand that.
All of his power, all that stuff, because he's the one that kind of has the power.
Well, he was a vampire long before he ever had those children, so I don't know that they're directly tied to it in any way. I don't know. Yeah. It doesn't make sense to me, but it doesn't have to.
I know it doesn't.
Right?
I know. It's one of those silly things.
But they're in the crypt freeing all the children when dun 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 Zakir shows up. Could you have guessed?
Nope. But he's been after Lucy, and Cindy was got Lucy to kind of lure him out, right? So that she can help kill him.
Yeah, Lucy and Cindy are in the crypt trying to free the children when Zakir appears. But it this scene ends with because Cindy tries to stop Zakir and the children try to help Cindy stop him, but Zakir eventually manages to kill Cindy.
Right.
And then after that it just flashes to more of the man Maddie sideswiping cars.
Oh wait, he's making some adjustments to the van.
Oh yeah, he did. He fitted the cross from the very opening scene to the front of the van.
Welded this motherfucker and even ran electric to it still.
Yep, still got the lights going, which
so they're on their way back to the chapel.
They're headed back to try to save Lucy because when they woke up, Lucy was gone because Cindy had convinced her to just come with her and leave the guys there for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Because they just get in the way.
Yep. Dumbasses. Which is probably true, except the Hail Mary that Maddie,
Oh yeah.
At the end of But but when Mark gets to the church, Cindy is already free. He really doesn't do anything. he just shows up there. And you get like what I would call the first first little hint that maybe KNB was involved in this film, because you get a vampire's face like swatted off with a board.
Yeah, I wrote that down too, man. That shit was so fucking cool.
Yeah, it's like reminiscent of the one you mentioned from Night of the Creeps.
Yeah.
That's kind of the similar thing.
Yeah, it's so sweet.
And you get the what is it? When Mark shows up, Zakir comes up from the crypt, and half his face is burnt.
Right.
You know? Which is funny, you never get to hear Zakir's voice except when the dream, right?
Yeah, where he's calling where he's like, Lucy.
Yeah, because Lucy hears Cindy calling for her, but in her dream she thinks it's Zakir, which it could be both. It's never quite explained.
Lucy.
But it seems like she's imagining it's Zakir, but it's Cindy the whole time.
Yeah.
It would make sense if you watch the movie. Now, you got to keep in mind, when we're talking about this whole time, right? Lucy is 17 years old in this movie.
Right.
And Mark is, I would guess, 25-ish.
25 to 30.
Yeah, he's 25 to 30. So they're in the church together, and this I only mention that it'll make sense in a few minutes. But they're in the church together, and what does Mark tries to attack Zakir? Doesn't he have like a board?
Yeah.
Or something.
Oh yeah.
He's headed. But who saves the day?
Maddie still flying through the middle of downtown with this modded van, and he is just hitting every single thing in every single vampire in his way, all the townspeople. Like he's like laying waste to like everybody, and comes on through. And what's he do? Hit that bump and go flying, or hit the stairs and go flying right through the front of the church doors.
Well, maybe he might be going through the wall, but you get that little Raimi vision shot.
Yeah.
Where it's following the cross through the air.
That's right. Yeah.
And talk about a fucking Hail Mary that hits the mark.
Yeah.
Let's give him a taste of Sir Lancelot. Eat wood, you buck-tooth son of a bat.
Maddie, this is a little I don't know if this is the best movie for someone with issue with drunk driving should watch, because the drunk driver saves the day. Yeah. Right? He is shit-faced, and somehow he fucking manages to fly through the air in a van, bust through the wall, and then kill Zakir.
Right.
Runs the fucking cross right through him that he welded to the front of the van.
Hit the mark 100%.
So the message I am getting
what
about
is your message?
Maybe I should drink more when I'm driving.
Because you can save the day. Each time you're closer to saving the day.
Because maybe every little drink I take gets me one step closer to saving the world.
Right.
Like Maddie.
Lesson to self.
And he explodes into beautiful, bright light.
Oh, yeah. There's a big giant cross illuminates over him, and he turns into muckety muck.
Yep. So the originator of the powerless vampires has come to an end.
And then what we see the children start filtering out of the church.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that. They're like watching them like, there they are. Like,
yeah. They were there the whole time.
Go help them. They've been underwater. I imagine, like, if you taken a long bath, how wrinkly your fingers are. Those kids probably look like Benjamin Button. They've been underwater for fucking years. all wrinkled
Oh my
up,
God.
pruned up.
We're pruned up.
Pruned up. But here's the time traveling thing I was talking about. Because we get the basically what it's like a bookend ending where it's kind of the same but different as the opener, where you get the doctor
Right,
rushing
and
down the
this
street.
time, yeah, it cuts to that, and the doctor's walking down the street just like in the beginning of the movie, and he's talking about picking splinters out of all the locals, you know, and
Well,
all
this time he's covered in blood.
Yeah, he's covered in blood, and he's like, "Oh my God, it's so weird." So he goes up, and it's just a flashback to that.
Well,
everybody is back being alive.
no, I don't think everyone. I mean, it was definitely not a dream scenario.
No. But he said
people who died, little Billy's dead.
Yeah, he's the only. I think he's the only one that actually died because he's like, I got half the town locals lined up.
There's probably a couple vampires that got smushed under Maddie's van.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and then like we have Maddie come out of nowhere, and he is dressed to impress in a beautiful suit.
He time traveled. No way he didn't. He was just drunk as fuck, looking a mess.
I think he put the booze down for coffee because I don't know. This is what I was talking about. After he pulls himself out of the van and stuff, he says, "What?" He's like, I really gotta stop this stuff or whatever he said. I can't remember. But we cut to the next we don't know. Maybe it was another 3 days they didn't tell us about. Maybe it was another week they didn't tell us about. But that wouldn't make sense because then Mark and Lucy they wouldn't have been sleeping in that church all that time. But
yeah, because they come out of the church. Maddie is cleaned up, tailored suit, shave and a haircut. It looks. Yeah,
I think he went in. After he did that, and he went in and he went and stole himself a suit, or maybe he's had money sitting. You know, he's been in the town for a while. Went and got himself a suit, and then was like, "I'm just going to sit this out until everybody wakes up." Hopefully, he's just going to introduce himself back into the community as like Matt.
Either way, I don't understand how, because Lucy and Mark appear as if this all just happened. They're still covered in dirt. They're still
the
tired.
night before.
They look like they've been through hell. And Maddie, who was in worse shape just a few minutes ago in the movie, is dressed to the nines, clean. I don't know. He still has his fucked up teeth. I don't but anyway, I can't explain that. But the movie, here's the thing. Remember, Lucy's 17 in the movie.
Yep.
Mark is 25 to 30.
A seasoned teacher.
The movie closes with those two walking off into the distance holding hands as if this was a love story, right?
Right. But right before that, they kind of look over at this random shot of the mailman being played by Henry Zabrowski. And he just kind of like, he kind of holds up that piece of mail and he shows it to him and smiles.
You're making assumptions here again. I don't know who that is, but I'm pretty sure that's not him.
It's totally Henry Zabrowski.
But yeah, so the big takeaway is Mark likes him young.
He figured he went through a lot, so she's his now. I don't know.
Anyway, again, that was Children of the Night. I highly recommend it. I'm not going to give it a rating because we didn't do that with Night of the Creeps, and I would just say definitely watch it. Buy it if it ever comes out on Blu-ray.
For sure. It's fun. It's so much fun. But it's also fun to sit and pick it apart because you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, just don't. It's fun to pick it apart, but don't count it against the movie because it's amazing. It's great. But I guess if you have any suggestions for movies you want us to watch and make asses out of ourselves, commenting about, or if you just like hearing our disgusting voices, just leave a message. Send us a message. Send a message at deadnotespodcast@gmail.com. I've been Alan.
And I'm Kevin, and I've survived yet another. Thank you for listening. It means a lot.
Guys.
Later.
You know, Maddie, I was studying to be a priest.
Say what?